Instead, you choose to address and go against us hunters. I didn't see one slide that said anything about science or data. Science is the basis for wildlife policy. I have not seen any science to ban our trail cameras.
Which goes off what he says. I'd like to know if trail cameras, has there been any studies to show that it's affected the harvest? Your harvest objectives you have. What studies can you show me to say that a trail camera has caused that to jump? So I'm going to ask at some point, you give us that information. Everything I've heard today has been people's emotions. No science. Either you like cameras or you don't like cameras. I've used game cameras for a long time. All they do is tell me that there's animals in the area and I'm not wasting my time. I think we're putting too much emphasis on the cameras that we're going to go kill that 350 bull or that thing. They just aren't that useful, and we're making a big deal over nothing.
I believe the ban will actually increase human activity at water in some trails and popular areas, and so it will increase, not decrease. It's a scouting technique, not a hunting technique, and so I oppose, and I hear a lot about feelings, not science.
No trail cameras has been raised with the state legislature, and legislation has previously been introduced that is so far not advanced because the commission maintains the authority to examine this issue through rulemaking, and so that's how we are today. The commission voted 5-0 unanimously to open rulemaking with language that, if it was approved, would prohibit the use of all trail cameras for the purposes of take. It's important, again, it's the purposes of take and aiding in the take of wildlife statewide. We have a 30-day comment period like any rulemaking process, and that comment period started in January, or January 1st, and ran through February 1st, which started in March 12th to be exact, and ended in April 12th. And from that comment period, we received 1,845 public comments. As you can see, 1,019 of them proposed that regulation, so opposed the recommendation of a season and restriction. 71 of those supported that regulation. 571 suggested even more additional, or some of the same, but some additional regulation. And then of the over 1,000, 160 of those were duplicates. I want to mention one because we received 6,172 letters. It was a form letter with 6,172 different names on those letters. There ended up being a few duplicates in there, but it's significant. And they were opposed to any regulation of the trail cameras for the purposes of take.
We went to the governor's office in October, basically said that there's a breach and people are going to have all these threats and everything else. So what I look for is what was done by the department prior of October of 2020 that said, hey, there's some public awareness. Trail cameras can potentially bring all this damage to people, and there's all this infighting. So from there, after we went to the December all the way to today, all I hear about is fair chase and all these other items, but not specifically what we went to the governors for, saying that people are going to die. So I'm kind of disheartened that we haven't done a really good focus, because I'm here to protect people and I'm about the safety and welfare of everybody. So, but why do we not do any public awareness? Here's a great time in the hunting regs and to let all the public know, as we heard today, there's a potential conflict up on the Kaibab. So now, based on that, that's more like first come, first serve in ethics. But there is nothing that states trail cameras. Why is that? That's where my heartburn is if there is really a significant threat, why have not the Game and Fish Department went out to our public and said, we have all of these issues, and said, hey, we need to bring public awareness, be aware that if you put a trail camera, you see a trail camera, why are we not fighting and teaching these people that these are the proper ethics? So I would ask you that if this is truly why we went to the governor's office, why have not we done that, and why aren't we right now saying, public, be concerned about this? Because right now we're trying to say, hey, we're going to ban the trail cameras.
Can you wrap, Mike?
Yep,
please?
but to that, we're being isolated as hunters that we can't put them. but we're still going to see trail cameras by everybody else that does not have the pursuit. So these threats are still going to be there based on what we went to the governor's office. So I would ask that let's do our diligence. Let's protect the public if that is truly why we went to the governor's office.
This item was brought up outside of the normal process due to the public safety issue, and then some fair chase language was added in the final version of this as it came out of the governor's office. And I'd like to point out that all of the major hunting conservation record-keeping groups, such as Pope and Young, Boone and Crockett, SCI, and others, recognize fair chase with the use of non-live action cameras.
There's several people I've listened to today that aren't hunters. They have nothing to lose at this stake. We do. I think there was a lot of embellishment in some of the things that we found out by going through the public records. And once again, I am dead set against any kind of regulation change for anything that us hunters are going to lose. I think it's a bad idea. It puts us against each other. This whole thing has actually put a lot of hunters against our odds each other. That's something Utah did when they did some stuff up there, and it's never been the same. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I do not want any type of trail cam ban. The only research the department has done is their own public comments. And it bears out that it's 2-1 against any type of ban. I have hunted Arizona for 53 years. I have successfully mentored many young people into hunting. I have never had a significant threat or was afraid for my safety over a trail cam. You say somebody's going to get hurt, somebody's going to get shot over a trail cam and or social media disagreements about trail cams. That is a lie that you're perpetuating. Words are not guns. And to end this, I would like to say thank God for the freedom in our country to be able to bitterly disagree on points and one side doesn't go to jail. God bless.
It would seem that the Game and Fish has sort of resorted to managing wildlife like carnies manage carnival games. Sell more tickets and find any way possible to limit success. It is my understanding that the Game and Fish is an institution of science and fact, not lobbyists and personal agendas. I've always believed it is the mission to manage wildlife with science. But today, as I stand here before you, I see a department and a commission that is managing hunters at the directive of special interests. Please stop taking from those who fund this department. You are not protecting wildlife for the futures of hunting. Anyone that is for this ban has something to gain from it. Strike down the ban, search your souls, and lead us forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We're here to manage hunters and wildlife, not just bow down to a public group. I appreciate if you folks did your jobs a little more appropriately.
I hear all this about technology and how things have changed and making it easier for hunters. Well, honestly, if a camera is going to help a hunter, so are binoculars. So are range finders. Where does this stop? When a blue ribbon commission of bureaucrats can come in and make up laws and things like this without being elected officials, this is tyrannical to me. This is something that is forced upon us. You let us go out, you sell us the tags, number one, and then you say, oh, you can't use this to hunt with. You know, that's changing the rules in the middle of the game. I don't see a difference in the number of deer killed from year to year due to these cameras. I really don't. I don't see any evidence that that's happening. And I don't think a camera has ever killed a deer. As an American, I like my liberties and I like my freedoms. And I see them getting chipped away day after day, whether it's in the federal government, the state government, local governments. All this COVID stuff that's gone over the last years.
20 seconds,
When does this
sir.
end? So that's my point. There is no end to the laws that you can make to prohibit freedom. I love my freedom. I love what my family has fought for. I'm a hunter for over 50 years in the state of Arizona, and I want to keep it the way it is. I oppose this ban vehemently.
But more importantly, they're looking to the 80% of the non-hunting public that are stakeholders. They enjoy the wildlife. They are non-consumptive users. So we have to be responsible to them.
I'm calling in support of a year-long prohibition of all trail cameras. The 91% of the population that do not hunt or fish in Arizona all respond the same. They're disgusted by it. These kinds of practices have got to stop. And by prohibiting all cameras, we'll go in that direction. Thank you.
I'm a humane policy volunteer with the Humane Society of the United States, and I'm here to speak in support of the complete prohibition of the use of trail cameras for the purpose of taking wildlife. Trail cameras are an unsporting method of hunting and also destroys the public's trust in how Arizona's wildlife is being managed. So I urge the Commission to adopt the complete prohibition and reject the amended proposal.
And I'm the Arizona State Director for the Humane Society of the United States. On behalf of the HSUS and our Arizona supporters, I urge you to adopt the complete prohibition of the use of trail cameras for the purpose of taking or aiding in the take of wildlife and reject the amended proposal.
Fair chase, that even outside of water, this cannot be ethically justified by hunters or others. I think that within a quarter mile of any water, hunters can easily figure out animals coming to the watering hole because they start moving to the water well before a quarter of a mile. So I don't think that trail cameras at all fit within fair chase, and also will negatively impact the public's support of certain types of hunting, and in the end, hurt hunters.
And I'm also a district leader with the National Humane Society, and I'm one of your mammal rehabbers, and I volunteer for Liberty Wildlife Rescue and Transport and Intake. So I support a complete ban due to disadvantage to hunters that practice good sportsmanship. Also, more animals will be killed, and I think it could contribute to extinctions along with droughts, loss of habitat, more deaths from wildlife entering neighborhoods because of habitat loss. And I think that it's similar to baiting. Thank you for your opportunity.
Fair chase means the ethical and lawful pursuit and take of free-range wildlife in a manner that does not give the hunter or angler improper or unfair advantage over such wildlife. How is allowing the use of cameras for the take of wildlife in any way consistent with the above or ethical at all? How is allowing the use of a camera near a mountain lion kill so someone can see exactly where to find them and shoot them like fish in a barrel fair chase or ethical?
I want you to know, for this commissioner, this was a tough one. It really had nothing to do with ranching, although I'm sure I'll get accused for that.
Livestock operators concerned that frequent visits to set and or check trail cameras are negatively affecting livestock operations.
Another point that I wasn't going to bring up was the Cattle Growers Association in the state have not taken a position for or against this. So what everybody's saying about that livestock deal is really not fair. That's not my concern. Here's my concern. I voted on the toughest issue that I've been involved in since I've been here for 3.5, 4 years. What scares me to death is what the future is going to bring when I look at places like California, Oregon, Washington, seeing what's on the legislative bill, seeing about the people who don't hunt but have a vote and have the opportunity to go in and start legislating restrictions and rules for wildlife. I may not be the best one to do that, and there's going to be some of you who will agree with that vividly after my vote. But I still think I'm better than the Arizona State Legislature to understand what you're talking about. And I hope it never gets that way, but it does get that way as this state changes. And trust me, everybody in this room knows it's not changing for the hunter's benefit. It is not changing. My biggest fear of this whole thing is that we have a disagreement between the people who care about wildlife most of all. The ones that really care, the ones that drove up here and had something on their mind and sat on the phone for 3 hours waiting to talk for two minutes. Please, please work together when this is all over with and say, okay, we had a spat. I won it or I didn't win it, but by God, I am really happy that we can sit back and talk about these things. And let's not make this something that we hate each other for the rest of our life. Let's say this is a way to communicate, because you people, regardless of what side you're on, are the ones that are going to keep this area from turning into an Oregon or some of the other states here. And if we split ourselves, then we have done the best service for the people who do not want hunting and fishing in this state. And don't forget that. We've got to stick together. Thank you.
Vote House. How are you voting?
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm voting for the Proposition 1.
I'm the guy that got us all into this by making the original motion at the December meeting here in this very room. But more importantly, they're looking to the 80% of the non-hunting public that are stakeholders. They enjoy the wildlife. They are non-consumptive users. So we have to be responsible to them. So, Mr. Chairman, I will vote in favor of option 1.
And therefore, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to prohibit the use of trail cameras for the purpose of taking wildlife or aiding in the take of wildlife statewide, which is option 1.
So for that reason, Mr. Chairman, I vote in favor of the complete ban.
With that, I also vote yes to protect our heritage, our skills, our ethics, and our respect for the wildlife we hold in trust for the people of Arizona and this very important sport that is part of the management of our state's wildlife. With that, the motion carries 5-0. Mr. Director, next item on the agenda, I believe, is 2.
Or brought up in Arizona are more aligned with the current cancel culture that we're dealing with in this country. If people have an issue with something or the way that others hunt, they want to cancel it or remove it. I don't believe that's the best way to manage our wildlife properly, and it should be the main objective for us. Let's focus on the factual science and data to manage our wildlife.
And I am against any and all action against trail cameras, partial ban, full ban. I would like to also point out that 1 week ago, the Arizona Game and Fish Department posted a video where you are monitoring wolves, an endangered species, on the endangered species list. You're using trail cameras to monitor these animals without any repercussions from it. It goes against everything that you're saying today, that it disturbs wildlife, that it bothers their routes, their habits, and the department itself has no scientific data to back up that this is an issue with the animals themselves. And you use it yourself, yet you regulate hunters and say that we are a problem. Thank you.
I've hunted for nearly 30 years and have mentored multiple people as well as family and friends. I've been in the field a ton. I average around 250 days a year in the field, and I've never had any type of conflict setting up cameras.
I'm a father of a handicapped son. I believe that a trail camera is a tool to help me help my son hunt. What you have here is not a tool problem. You have a heart problem dealing with people. You have a heart problem, an individual problem. You have a people problem, not a tool problem. You are never going to stop social media. You are never going to stop complainers. I believe that you and I need to work together to help each other. You do this, what's next? GPS? We can't shoot certain guns or wear certain boots.
Thank you.
On behalf of myself and over 22,000 members, we are opposed to any further restrictions on trail cameras. The attempt at the emergency rulemaking that was done here is based on a live imminent threat of public safety. There is no evidence of this outside of 9 documented complaints in 12 years, which we have the records of these complaints. None of them involve violent interactions. In my 34 years hunting and 7 years of utilizing trail cameras, I've never experienced anything like this. It's a complete bold-faced lie. If this was happening at all with hunters who carry weapons, there would be documented fights, bloodshed, and even death. They carry guns and razor blades on sticks, folks. The job of the Game and Fish Department isn't to prevent arguments on social media. It can't be done. Trust me, I try. So big deal if people complain online. We're going to legislate and throw nanny state rules around over social media comments. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves, really. You realize how dumb that sounds? You're trying to legislate Facebook arguments? Since when do we pass laws based on future crime that hasn't happened yet? That sounds like a Minority Report situation in some Marxist society. It's funny how this is a fair chase issue, yet 3 years ago, Commissioner Eric Sparks laid out exactly how he contacted Pope and Young, Safari Club, Boone and Crockett, and others, and agreed that trail camera usage, as we have it now, doesn't interfere with the concept of fair chase. As far as ranchers and livestock operators, they have the obligation to share public land with hunters just as much as hunters have to share public land with them.
20 seconds.
Look, I have no problem with cattlemen, but is this the Arizona Game and Fish Department, or is this the Arizona Land and Cattle Association?
Spend over 200 days a year in the field. Been using trail cameras longer than most people, probably going on about 16 years now. I have never had any conflict in the field over trail cameras, nor do I know any fellow hunters that have had any personal safety conflicts or altercations regarding trail cameras, not once. I personally have caught, charged, and prosecuted 3 thieves with the stealing trail cameras or with the use of trail cameras, and still have not had any altercations regarding personal safety of myself or anybody else for that matter. For us, let's focus on the factual science and data to manage our wildlife.
We've been here in Arizona for 23 years now. The public safety issue, I've never had a personal conflict in the field, and I have many cameras in the field. I do see other things that I've asked law enforcement to address, such as dirt bikes in the middle of the forest. That hasn't been addressed. Otherwise, you choose to address and go against us hunters. So as far as a public safety issue, I have not seen or come across any personal conflicts in the field. Now, as far as fair chase, on the slides that Mr. Phoenix presented, I saw 5 slides that said concerns. I didn't see one slide that said anything about science or data. Right on Arizona Game and Fish's research branch, their mission states to conduct robust research and provide scientific information to inform
30 seconds,
and support the sound.
Lloyd.
Thank you. I'll get 10 more for that. And support the sound management and professional stewardship of Arizona's fish and wildlife resources, and to ensure the credibility of the department's science. Arizona's 7 core concepts of conservation. Step number 7 says, science is the basis for wildlife policy. I have not seen any science to ban our trail cameras.
Thanks, Gene. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's a very passionate subject by a lot of people. I go back 35 years of hunting in Arizona, and in that 35 years, I've witnessed the development of technology, from quads to rangefinders to GPS units to trail cameras. The position that the commission takes at this point in time is for the preservation of wildlife in Arizona and the ethics of fair chase. Your opportunity is to determine what will happen in the future. Technology is not going to regress, it's only going to improve and become more infinite. And that is a charge that the commission has to deal with. As one of the Chief Justices of the Supreme Court once said, I may not be able to define pornography, but I know it when I see it. And with trail cameras, The non-consumptive public on a universal basis always reflects on trail cameras as, that's not fair. Fair chase and the director of the future of Arizona's wildlife is at your hands. Thank you.
As it comes to hunting, is going to continue to evolve. Trail cameras are not fair chase, plain and simple. I've heard people talk about Pope and Young, Boone and Crockett, Safari Club, excuse me, that they say it is fair chase. They're going to deal with it too. This is a changing scene that we have. And I appreciate the fact that you have brought this issue back. The Deer Association appreciates the fact that this issue has been brought back, and we are looking at it, because you cannot look beyond this. Everything, again, is changing. What is first and most important is wildlife. And I didn't hear enough of that today. I heard about what I want to do and what I want to use and how I want to go about it, and I don't want you taking that away from me.
15
Folks,
seconds, Pete.
What we're talking about is wildlife. The science, we use the best science we have to protect wildlife. That's a job of the commission and the department. And as hunters, we support you. That's the priority. And I thank you, and I hope you vote unanimously to ban the trail cameras. Thank you.